That movie sucked.
I kind of liked it.
Movie Night Crew Network.
Hello and welcome to Content and Capable, a podcast all about following your passions while still feeling like a proper adult. My name's Sam and I'm your host. This week I spoke with Movie Night Crew Network favourite Taylor, all about her love of history, how she got into it, and her experience teaching it. Welcome to Content and Capable, Taylor. It's lovely to have you back.
Thank you for having me back. Can't believe how long it's been.
I know, it's been like a weird, like, I was thinking about it today. I'm like, most of the guests that I had on quite early in Content and Capable, I've had back on most of the creators, Zach and Alex and Charlie. I'm slowly getting around to Tina and hopefully Jason at some stage as well. I'd love to have Jason on. But like, I was like, I really haven't dropped the ball with Taylor. I had her on at the start of Content and Capable, and probably the worst episode ever. And now it's, a year and a bit. No, almost a year.
Almost
later.
a year.
Yeah, that's amazing.
We're all so proud of you. You are our baby.
Oh, I love it. And I'm so excited to kind of be getting towards that year mark. I was having a look at a couple of dates and things. I'm like, wow, the messages that I was sending and having conversations were around this time, which is pretty crazy. But we're here to talk about history and your love and journey with history. How did you become like a history buff?
Probably started in third-ish grade. We had this reading teacher who would come in like once a week to our third grade class. Like, wasn't our actual teacher, although she did a lot of cool stuff too. But I just remember she did this unit on mummies and everything. Mm-hmm. And I guess I probably started then and just went downhill from there. It's fine.
I don't think it was downhill, Taylor. Like, I don't know. I think history is pretty cool.
I know things I shouldn't know about the world. That's how I view it. But yeah, no, it developed. I started reading more historical fiction in middle school. And then by the time I got to high school, I took an advanced placement European history class for college credit. And that was the end for me. And then I'd always wanted to be a teacher. Like, I think I mentioned this when I was on before. Mm-hmm. But that class decided what kind of teacher I wanted to be. Yeah. And I'm very interested in the unusual histories. So my favorite class I took in college was a history of mental illness. Oh, wow. That'd be really interesting. Because I've heard a bit and brushed on a bit, but never really in depth. Yeah. Yeah, it was really cool because, like, it went through the development of, like, the asylum system and the DSM evolution over time. And my professor had bipolar 1, so it was actually taught by somebody who was a stakeholder in the issue, not just some random history professor. And I'm taking a history of Western education class right now for my master's program, which was surprisingly interesting. I didn't expect to like it as much as I do. I was about to say, you're doing your master's now. Are you still learning new things about history that you haven't learnt before? Yeah, so this class I'm taking, it is started with the Roman and Greek education, because that's really what American, Australian, all the Anglo-Saxon countries, like, you think of like the Eldest Gods, kind of like Percy Jackson style, like Western civilization started from there. Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those times where I'm like, yeah, Western education, like, that's the best description for it. Mm-hmm. Because it's like all of us, like, most of Europe over, and then y'all. Yeah. But, yeah, it was really cool, because I had never really dove into the actual education systems and, like, the philosophies behind education over time. And so I'm doing my research paper for this class. It's going to be my last paper ever.
Woo!
I'm so ready to be done. But I'm doing it on how guild systems, like in the Middle Ages,
Yeah.
are related to trade schools today, and why we should be maybe looking at a guild system even today, but in a different form.
That's super interesting. And it's interesting because, and it comes back to this thing. I think most historians or people who love history come back to this, and it's like, you've got to use what we've done in the past to inform how we shape the present. And I think it's one of those things where, and I find it super fascinating when people are writing papers on things like that and going, oh, wait a second, we did have a system. And if we just adapt it, make it a bit more modernized, a bit more inclusive, and keep it up to speed, it probably would work just as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was actually having a conversation with a student about this. I think it was on 2 days ago or so. And he was talking to me about, he doesn't hate history. He just hates how some people get left out of history and some stories get left out of history that they talk about. And about half of my kids that I teach, probably closer to 60%, are people of color or persons of color. I'm trying to get better with the language with it, but and so a lot of what history should be about now is how can we make these changes of how we teach things. We're not rewriting history, we're just, including the things that matter to more people, per se. Half those kids, I taught them about black cowboys earlier this year, and a good chunk of the cowboy stereotype, what people think about as cowboys in America's wild, wild west, were actually black and indigenous people.
Yeah.
And so I just really like finding those niche stories because they tend to be about the people who don't get their stories told.
Yeah. And I think that it's an interesting thing that I think we're learning a bit more about as we shift more of our focus to marginalized and underrepresented communities, is telling that history while still not we can probably give less time to the Civil War or World War One and World War Two, but at the same time those are really important things to also teach, and so it's getting that balance between doing that but also then representing the people who are in your classes and things like that. And I think that that's where history has this great chance to kind of leap forward and give everyone a chance to feel represented, but also have representation actively in either education systems or in resources that are widely available to see themselves.
Yeah, and it's we can still talk about things like the American Civil War, World War I, World War II. What we need to start doing is not just tell what the white English soldiers going through. We should be talking about the British Indian soldiers who were also fighting for the British Army in World War I. Things like that. We want to tell all their stories, and obviously it's hard because I cover 150-ish years of history in 9 months, and the people who teach world history and have to go from the beginning of time to now. It's much more difficult, but
it reminds me of, as much as it's not my favorite TV series, but the Big Bang Theory's opening credits scene and that whole running through everything, and it's just so interesting because it is kind of this weird recap of this is where we've come from, this is where we are, but zero depth because it's 30 seconds.
Yeah. Well, have you ever seen the History of the World video?
Yes. Oh, fucking hell. I love Bill Wirtz. It
gives me joy all the time. My kids like to bring it up all the time. Obviously I can't watch it in class, Not exactly the most, but it's so good at just getting through it, but in a good way.
Yeah. And, as you said, you really wanted to become a history teacher, and that's where you are now, which is pretty amazing. But obviously, not obviously, but COVID is still a thing. I think online learning and working have become really, really more commonplace. How has that changed, what you do as a history teacher?
Sorry, repeat that. Just my processing didn't follow.
No, totally fine. Online learning, how has that changed you as a history teacher?
Okay, so the biggest thing is I have more access to resources as soon as I want them. Mm-hmm. If I don't know the answer to a question, I don't have to go somewhere else to look for the answer. I already have Google at my fingertips. I can find it real time and we can talk about it, especially with everything going on with Russia being terrible to the Ukraine. My kids have a lot of questions about it, obviously. So I've been able to, sometimes I just keep CNN up and just have their updates, and if occasionally we'll just check back in as we're going throughout the time. I'm able to give them more hands-on interactive things with museums around the world. I had them do an interactive thing with the Louvre for something. It was at the beginning of the year. I don't remember what it was now. But it's so much easier to help them connect to things in a way that they're already used to. They're already used to having things at their fingertips. How can we use it to our advantage in helping them grow?
Yeah, 100%. And it's, I don't know, I find that because we've had to be online for so long, it's now become there's more resources. We've found more resources to learn things online.
Yeah, definitely. You and I both got pushed online when COVID began. Mm-hmm. I was finishing up my last semester. Was that your first semester?
Yeah, that was my first semester.
I was pretty sure it was my last and your first. So, both pivotal times in our college careers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think the hardest part about all of that was the lack of training and lack of resources to teachers. Now, I teach for an actual, cyber school here in the U.S., so our teachers are trained to teach online. That's the whole point of it. But the average teacher didn't have those resources and was just sort of thrown into a situation and didn't know where to go. And thankfully now, I think it just, in the long run, will prove to be a benefit to education as a whole, to add to the adaptability. That word didn't want to come out. Rather than just staying rigid. And obviously some people didn't embrace it. And there are obviously so many problems with the growth of kids because of interruptions in learning. So there's definitely good and bad things about it, but I hope people take advantage of the resources now and interact more with free options out there. Here, I don't know how it is with you in Australia, but here in the US, we have free access to the Smithsonian Institute's resources. For teachers, they have this thing where you can pull some of their online exhibits in and essentially make a lesson out of them and give kids the tools to actually interact with their own history. So, I don't know, there's a lot of things that I hope people can embrace, and even that can be adult people who just want to learn more. Stuff's out there.
Yeah. I think, it's one of those things, and you are right, here in Australia we have a lot of free access. We've got heaps of museums and things like that show off different aspects of history, and I think that I haven't been in schools since the pandemic started, so I don't know what schools are like, but in university I think we've had this real great opportunity to become, use all the resources we have around us, because it's really, really hard to do things by yourself. But if you can find like really supportive resources, things like, as you were saying before, the Smithsonian, learning that kind of thing becomes a lot easier and a lot less daunting, and oftentimes also more inclusive as well.
Yeah, so I know your internet sucks in Australia, or so it seems. That you all should see Sam's face at this point.
I'm like, what's happened wrong?
It's just pain. So here I will say, like, for the most part, our internet access, especially because of the pandemic, like, really expanded here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting how disproportionately it affects our communities of color, and the access to things like broadband are less widespread in those areas. So no matter people's political leanings here in the U.S., one of the things they're trying to do right now is to expand broadband access to more people. And a lot of that will help people be able to have access to continuing education. Not just the students, but people who can hopefully we're giving them the tools that they need to find equitable ways to have access to education, have access to break the cycle of poverty, because we're giving them that equitable access.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's really interesting. We didn't have a huge issue with like internet connection and stuff, I think because our population's quite small and dense, but at the same time we definitely did, like, it was then a conversation about quality of education and like what are the best approaches to handling independent learning, especially for like people under the age of 18 who are not, like, I'm not saying people over the age of 18 are the best independent learners, but like people under the age of 18 are statistically worse. And so like learning to like regulate and like helping the kids regulate so the parents aren't doing all the regulation for them. And it's just like other bits and pieces of like making sure that, you know, everything is, you know, all right and stuff. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, still needing a structure. Like how do you approach a structure in a world that doesn't necessarily have a structure right now? Everything's fine. It's a March in 2022.
Yeah.
The world's on fire. It's fine. It's been on fire our entire lives. It's fine. It's fine. But, yeah, so it all comes down to how do we approach our view of education overall? If we're not flexible and we don't approach the emotional and physical well-being of students overall, they are not going to learn if they aren't being cared for. My kids and I had this conversation pretty early in the school year. I'm like, I don't expect you to fucking care about the Gilded Age if you can't even get out of bed at the beginning of the day. My priority for all of them is to keep living and keep growing in whatever way they need. But then I just have to be flexible enough to change my curriculum to best fit what they need. I can still get them the main points of, you know, robber barons in the U.S. being terrible. But some of them, you know, doing some good stuff. I live in Pittsburgh, so Andrew Carnegie is obviously a big part of our history here. So that was my example. Like, he was he did some terrible stuff, but he also contributed to the arts heavily and started a university here that's named after him and everything that's advancing science. So history is full of these big contradictions that the kids can then be like, okay, I see the contradictions in my own life. This isn't new. The whole world deals with contradictions.
I think it, like, there's a desire of people to categorize, going, very black and white. This person was good, this person was bad. It's like you can't do that because it's way more complex. And the more you read history, the more you go, oh, well, the examples you've given, this person was a really terrible person, yes, but they also did these other things that, like, were beneficial and had probably a net positive effect rather than a net negative effect. But it's like, it doesn't excuse them from what's happened, but at the same time, we've got to understand and then process that, which is sometimes very hard for people as well.
And to give an example on the flip side, like, take somebody like Gandhi. Mm-hmm. He literally changed the world. Without him, the civil rights movement here in the U.S. probably wouldn't have developed the way it had. Yeah. I'm sorry for your audio when I come through here. I just had to move a cord. But he was super racist. Like, there are a lot of writings about how he viewed black people in general. Yeah. So we just need to do a better job in society of recognizing the good in people, but also acknowledging the bad in the world. Where we can't just look at every single person as black and white in, like, the good and evil form, because people aren't like that. Now, there are some people that are just genuinely pure evil. Joseph Stalin, like,
yeah, like,
I'd be hard pressed to find a good thing about Joseph Stalin. But, there are gray areas in people. And I think that's one of the most important things about history.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that it's so interesting. And this is what I love about history, is that there are so many interesting things that, like, you get to learn about as well. It's pretty fucking amazing. And one of the reasons why I love history so much.
Yeah, my favorite thing to tell people is about Tycho Brahe, one of the famous scientific revolution fellows. Everything about his life makes me laugh really hard. And it's just like, that's what makes history alive. Like, you find the fun. I mean, the two stories that make me laugh are probably not good to laugh at. One of them was the fact that he had a pet moose.
Ah, yes. I love the ridiculous stuff.
But this is the bad part. He also had a pet little person, which would obviously not be great now and is also just slavery. Yeah. But anyhow, the way the moose and the person died, where they were drunk and the moose fell down the steps. So it's, like, terrible, but at the same time, like, a moose got drunk.
Yeah.
Like, that's the part that gets me.
And it's like, wow, these people had no, like, it's just like, let's get a moose drunk, knowing how big moose are. And it's just like, whoa. Yeah.
So it's like, I draw the kids in with a dumb story every day. You find something around the thing. So we just finished up the 1950s era. For context, for people who don't know, I teach U.S. history. So all of my stories are very U.S.-centric now. But I still like to tell everybody the Tycho Brahe story because it's fucking hilarious.
Oh, it's great.
He has even funnier stuff later, but I digress. So I started, like, the 1950s culture lesson to be like, just so you all know, Elvis didn't actually have black hair. His hair was dirty blonde and he had to dye it every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And, like, the kids all were like, ah! And then that just starts it off. Like, even if you don't have an interest in history, you can always find a dumb story to get you interested in history.
I was about to say, like, what are some of the other resources you use to get people engaged and interested in history?
So my favorite video, like, series on, like, I guess channel on YouTube, just to get people, like, here's the quick facts, here you go. Ted Ed does amazing work when it comes to, I mean, this is all eras of history, or subjects. Like, I sometimes I just sit around listening to ones about literature and everything, like, occasionally science, philosophy, all that kind of stuff. But if I don't have the energy to explain something to someone, I'll just send them the TED Ed video about it.
Yeah.
And fucking
Yeah.
Wikipedia is... I always tell my kids that they can never use Wikipedia as a source. But if you need it as a starting point, have at it. And this goes for anybody listening who might need to know this. If you scroll down to the bottom of a Wikipedia page, it has all the sources used. And you can then go click on those links and use those as sources if they are reliable links. So, Wikipedia, YouTube in general is like a pretty much a godsend for history. Because, especially as you get into basically anything after the 1900s, you can show somebody what it looks like.
Yeah.
You can really dive into it more. Primary sources are fantastic, especially if you can get them. For me, like, I try to find them about people the same age as my kids.
Yeah.
And I teach teenagers, so when we were talking about the Holocaust about a month ago. I have a book which is excerpts from teenagers who lost their lives in the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Obviously Anne Frank's in there, but for other children. But that gets the kids to get the fact that they are the age that history can happen to them. And let's be honest, history is always happening to us, especially now when we've just decided to have like 20 world events in like a period of 5 years, but that's fine. So it's really just any way to make things relatable.
Yeah.
For some people, that might be something tactile, like holding something. I remember in 11th grade, so I was like 16-ish, 17.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the cotton gin. My history teacher brought in an actual piece of cotton with the seeds still in it to like emphasize like how hard it was for enslaved people to like pick out the seeds that were in this cotton. And that, that's one of those things that sticks with you because it's like, okay, this gives me a tangible reason that history exists.
Yeah, 100%.
So, I don't know, it's any way to make it personable. Any way that you can be like, these were fucking real people. Like, it isn't just TV. Yeah.
And I think that it's one of those things where it's really hard to, like... And I think all fields of education have got this thing, science, history, economics, whatever, is to make it matter. Like, why should I be caring about this? And it, like, those kind of things do. I find the thing that really got me into history was horrible histories.
I fucking love horrible histories!
Far out. The six idiots and, like, their whole team, it's just, it was amazing. Anyway, they had books. So I read the books as a kid because I literally could never be found without a book in my hand. And so I read those. I had like 3 of them, and I just read them in a rotating cycle for a little while. And I just love it. And the gruesome details make, like, kids love, like, real gruesome stuff from time to time. Not, like, super explicit, but, like...
Stupid deaths is one of my favorite, like, ideas ever. Yeah. Because, like, I've already reiterated here, I think dumb things are fantastic.
Yeah.
Horrible histories, like, obviously isn't a thing here in the U.S. So, I show it any chance I can get because I fucking love it.
Oh, it's great. It's probably one of the best pieces of educational television that's come out of anywhere, really, to be honest. But, like, what I really, really found fascinating was then I found, like, proper adult authors who were writing histories in the same way as horrible histories and very similar. So I know I rant a lot, especially around you, Taylor, about my favourite non-fiction book at the moment called Gert, which is I
have it on my to-read list.
And it's this really, really hilarious book. it's actually 3. The 3rd book's just come out. But about Australian history. And it talks about all the stupid and messed up stuff that had happened, including because it gives quite a bit of context about how, how the discovery, quote unquote, and the colonization of Australia happened. You then see all these like recurring characters. So like William Bligh, who was like one of the governors of Australia. You hear this random story about him trying to bring breadfruit to Jamaica. And he tried, I think 3 times, and 2 times his crew mutinied on him. And it's this hilarious story about him trying to like please everyone, but also having a huge temper. He's very Irish, had the one that like a bad temper, and it just like the messed up stuff that he had to deal with. And then you sympathize with him, and then all the other characters, these are actual real people, like turn on him, and you feel really bad for him because he's had this like spell of just bad luck after bad luck after bad luck. But like it's all hilarious, and that kind of thing. I go, the reason Australia, like the whole reason Australia exists is because of, in the way it does, is because of tea, and because of you stupid Americans, and the whole start of the separation of America from British rule, and that. It's just so fascinating, and it's one of my favorites.
I just recently read a book. It's called That's Not in My American History Book, a compilation of little-known events and forgotten heroes. And part of it was funny, part of it was really informative. But, like, it's so interesting how much we don't know. Like, my favorite thing I learned in there is that the modern catheter that we use is like the original one that Benjamin Franklin came up with. Like, 250 years ago. Still using the same thing. And he chose not to patent his stuff so that it could be continued and used by other people. And it's like, damn, that's cool shit. Especially when you think about how terrible people are with patents today. I don't know how it works in Australia, but here it's a fucking mess. I
think we mostly follow the Americans on that one. But it's pretty terrible.
So it's like, you think like something like insulin, like, that just seems like something that, maybe we should just share with people so people don't die. But that's not how it works. And then you look back at Benjamin Franklin, somebody who really could have gotten real rich off of all of his goddamn inventions, and just chose not to, because he wanted to better society. Once again, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of bad history about Ben Franklin. But some of the good he did, man. And it's very very fascinating and scary as well. Like, there's so much, and you feel like you're not knowing, like you don't know enough. You're always having to like, and like on one hand, there's a very like scientific, we're always learning something new, and that's great and all. But I think on the other hand, it's like very overwhelming to like not know and like want to know and want to understand. How do you deal with that? Like not knowing, but then also wanting to learn. I read a lot, so that's like sometimes if it's something I don't know a whole lot about, I actually just was doing this weekend. I'll find a middle grade book about it. Because then it's like written in very simplistic terms, and I can get like the main points. And then if it's something I want to explore more, then I can. Like, I was reading a middle grade book about actual piracy, which was very fascinating, and like how like marine archaeology works. I listened to a lot of podcasts, like there's a show called Ologies Behind the Bastards. This podcast Will Kill You is one of my favorites because it looks at diseases and other illnesses, and it breaks down the science of it, but also talks about the historical context of it, like how it affected people over time. Like the how it was discovered, all that kind of stuff. So part of me just tries to find avenues to learn, but part of me is just, once again, when I'm talking to my students, I will tell them I don't know if they ask me a question. And one of the things we are most blessed with is just being able to Google something.
Yeah.
If we don't know it, we have ways to find out.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I'm probably not going to be able to find out what Julius Caesar ate for breakfast on the day that he was stabbed to death.
Yeah.
But I can find out a lot about his day if I just Google something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to bring that one up since, the Ides of March just passed.
Yeah. I don't know. I find it so fascinating because there are people out there, and I don't mean this in a bad way, it's more there are people out there who are just not interested in history at all. And then I'm like, how are you not interested? Like, this is so fascinating.
I like to say that people who say they aren't interested in history just don't actually realize how interested they are in history. Because everybody is interested in something in the past, whether it be music, literature, science. All of that stuff has links to the past. So even if you don't think you like it, these people would be surprised to find out how much they rely on it.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and I think history has a huge amount to teach us in terms of where we should be going, what mistakes we should be trying to avoid, and I'm really excited to, I don't know, make strides in that direction. I don't know, do you see a lot of people like using history to inform decisions today, or is it kind of something that's not really done outside of the history buff center?
I think our generation, like the young millennials, older Gen Z, even younger Gen Z to an extent, are really trying hard right now. A lot of the movements across the world have been led by young people.
Yeah.
Young people who have found out their histories and said, no. Just fucking no. We're just not doing it. I'm sure many people, no matter around the world, your listeners, like, are aware of the Black Lives Matters movement here in the U.S. A lot of that came from people realizing this is a problem in the system we've built. We're not saying that everybody is out there calling people the N-word. We're not saying that the country itself is racist. We're saying that the systems that the countries have built are racist. And that... And now that people are really digging into the histories of this and really looking at it, I know you and I have talked about it with, like, the indigenous peoples of Australia. Like, you and I have had this conversation. Like, more and more people are being like, this is what was done. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing to understand and improve?
I don't know. Yeah, it's so interesting because we are at this point where we have such more nuanced knowledge, and yet the rhetoric around the change that as young people we're trying to make hasn't changed. And it seems to be stuck in the past. And like, even like, so it's 2022, it's March. At the moment, Russia and Ukraine Russia is invading Ukraine. Very blunt about this.
As I said earlier, Russia sucks ass.
Yeah, it really does. And like, we're sitting here going, this conflict is terrible, and there are so many, things that were leading up to this. And we're looking at, I was thinking about it as well, because when I learnt about World War One, a lot of the conversation about what happened beforehand was talking about nationalism and how an extreme sense of nationalism and righteousness kind of led to the point where people were ready to go to war, and so they just needed something to, spark all this dry wood, and fucking explosions happen. But then you have this like weird parallel where you sit here and you go, this is actually happening again, and we want to avoid this, but it's still happening and we can't change it. And you see whoever's on Fox News at the moment going,
oh my god, don't
America first, or they're not doing enough, or it's their fault, or Russia's being cancelled. And it's like, stop it. Stop being so like identity politics and nationalism have no place in this conflict. We've already seen what happens when we do this, and it turned out badly. Can't we try something differently?
I gotta tell you about the experiment Joe and I did a few nights ago. So we decided that we were going to, we did this around the same time that like our cable stations were also, or like the local stations had world news on, so that this would give us more access to channels. So what we decided to do was to take a look at what these channels were all broadcasting at the same exact time. Mm-hmm. We started with Fox News because we just sort of wanted to get it out of the way. They were going off on a conspiracy theory about Hunter Biden causing the invasion of Ukraine. And saying that we shouldn't do anything more because we're just provoking Russia. Yeah. Rather than, and this is like people all around the world offering, sending money, sending support, like, but then like literally every other channel we checked like 6 or 7. Every single other one was just focused on how is this affecting the people. And it was just so wild to me, like how just insensitive it is to the people who are dying every day. Yeah. And it drove me up a wall. But like Pennsylvania, which is where I'm from, we have the second highest Ukrainian population in the United States. Mm-hmm. So like our own state is sending a bunch of money to Ukraine, like our state government. But I've gone to several things around Pittsburgh here where individual businesses are donating their proceeds, their any profit they make, sending it over there. And it's like, I think the word rhetoric was exactly like the perfect one for it. And obviously I know you're a journalist, you know what you're talking about, but it's so interesting how one event can be taken so many different ways. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And some of them in very stupid ways. But that's like the big thing about we need more sources in history in general. Yeah. Because the rhetoric of one person can really change how an entire conflict is viewed. I mean, Vietnam here in the U.S. is like one of the biggest examples. I only bring it up because that's what we're about to start. The only reason that the American people really saw what was happening was because it was sort of the rise of television, like more and more people having television, more and more war actually being shown. And at that point, I mean, and this is any journalism, and I know you know this, but like everything has a bias. We as people cannot necessarily avoid it because it's just anything we do, there's going to be something like what picture you choose to take, like that. But the whole role of a journalist obviously is to recognize your bias and try to overcome it. Yeah. Teaching is the same way, but some people just choose not to. Yeah. And it's just unfortunate for the people who follow it,
And I think that there comes a point, and it's not just even journalism, it's like you've got to recognize your personal bias and go, okay, I can see my bias, great. Now I've got to like manage that in relation to what's happening and new information that's coming through. I'm still reading. For a long time, and very knowledgeable listeners to the podcast would know that at the start of this year, I was talking about Think Again by Adam Grant. I'm still reading it. It's taken me a while. I don't know. I don't like reading nonfiction books. I struggle with it. But it's really interesting because you swap into. There was 3 modes he was talking about. I think one of them was politician mode, where you just like kind of are pleasing whoever's in front of you, and you're always arguing your point. And then the scientist who's like super open to information, and then there was another one, and it's so fascinating because part of it is checking your knowledge, your bias, or your privilege as well, and going, what am I taking into this that might affect the meaningfulness of what's being given to me? And that, I think it goes with all knowledge, and I think that history does a really, really great job, and it's one of the reasons why I love history and I love talking about history so much, is because it gives you a chance to talk about and investigate, what was the right answer, or what is the closest to the right answer that was there. Because, you're talking about the Vietnam War, there really probably wasn't a particular right answer on either side.
Yeah, I mean, we just know that bombing the fuck out of people who didn't deserve to be bombed was the wrong answer. That's the only thing we know for sure.
Yeah, and being able to know what the next answer could be, it means that we've got to understand that this didn't work. We've got to try something else. Yeah,
definitely. Like, I mean, you think about it with what's happening in Ukraine, and this is just genuinely a repeat of, I mean, the annexation of Crimea only happened 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So it really has not been that long since we've last seen this issue. Yeah. And this has been bubbling up for so long.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't, A, be surprised, and B, we should be really considering what path can we take that hasn't already been tried and has been shown to fail. I mean, fucking Hitler wasn't that long ago.
No.
That was I can't do math, 80 years ago.
Only just within living memory, and it's like, why are we reverting back to that, or like getting close to that? I wouldn't compare anyone to Hitler at the moment, but we're getting there. Like, the rhetoric's moving that way.
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently he's getting super paranoid. It's hilarious to me. Like, yeah, you're in a war that nobody wanted. Your own people hate you. Whatever.
Yeah.
But one of my kids is like it was like the second day of the invasion. They're like, how easy do you think it would be to take out Putin? Because I sort of want to try. I'm like, first off, you're a 15-year-old in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of barriers with that. Second, Putin's ex-KGB. And third, I'm sure other people are trying right now, bud.
Yeah. And I do love it. Like, I think, and this is where I love working with young people as well. It's like, there's a point where it's like, I love the energy. The energy is amazing. And if I could have that energy, it would be, I would do that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been feeling real old lately because, it's 9:00 here at 9 p.m. And, I feel like bedtime soon. Like, and it's been like that the past, like, 2 or 3 nights. I'm like, oh my God, am I really getting this old? That this is what my life is now? That just...
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go to bed. It's fine. But yeah, like, kids, especially, I work only with high schoolers, like, they're passionate. If they find something, the kid I was talking about earlier, he and I had a really good conversation about the persons of color from the U.S. who served in World War II and World War I, and how he was just so fucking passionate about it. Yeah. And it was like, he was like, I've ever since we talked about the Harlem Hellfighters, I went down like a rabbit hole, and now that's like all I can think about. And it was just so nice, because if they can even find that one thing to hook onto. Yeah. I have a kid who's loves Russian history, but in the way of recognizing how fucked up Russian history is.
Yeah.
Like some people who like Russian history just like are like, Russia's great. He's like, no, Russia's like the worst ever. And here's why. I can write a thesis about this and I'm 14. And I'm like, whatever you want to do, bud.
Yeah. And it's amazing because they do. I think that kids are so much more aware of like what needs to be done to like fix stuff up as well. They're like, well, this is wrong, and to fix it, we got to do this, and it's like so gung ho, and I fucking love it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, now some of the things they say to me, like they've decided they're gonna raise up a guinea pig army to like solve the world's problems, but I'm just saying, like, if they can do it,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna fight a tiny guinea pig. If like 50 guinea pigs gonna come up to me, I'm just gonna like melt in cuteness. And honestly, that might solve the world's problems. I don't know. They breed pretty fast.
Yeah, they do. They're pretty powerful. Rabbits here in Australia, just breed the rabbits and create an army. We already have an army of rabbits. I'm surprised we haven't tried to fight a war against them.
You sort of did. This podcast will kill you, which is actually talking about like the big disease that happens with the rabbits. And like, in a way, there was sort of a war waged against them, but then people realized that they could just breed the rabbits and then kill a few off and turn them in. And collect the reward money, but they were still breeding them, and so that's why Australia's just overrun with rabbits.
That's why we have a very long fence. But still not quite sure how that keeps the rabbits out, but one day I'll find out.
Someday.
Yeah, they're banned here where I live. Like I think you can have rabbits in like Sydney and Melbourne. Brisbane, nah, completely banned.
I feel like with all of the animals in Australia, one of them would have figured out how to be its biggest predator. My bet is on the emu. I'm not gonna lie, my bet is on the emu.
Well, it's the same with our cane toads at the moment. We're trying to get rid of them, and they're a feral pest. And it's like, we can't figure out how to get rid of them. Like, I don't know what to do.
Isn't that what the nukes are for? Isn't that why we're supposed to use nuclear weapons for?
Let's just nuke,
Let's just nuke all of Australia. It'll be fine.
Totally fine. Totally fine.
It might get rid of the koala chlamydia problem.
It might, but it also might just get rid of the koalas.
I'm just proposing, solutions. None of my solutions are good, but there are solutions.
They're all solutions. They exist.
Nobody nuke Australia, please.
Yeah.
Please and thank you.
If you had to sum up why you love history so much, how would you sum it up?
It's in the word. It's all a story. And it just depends on how it's told. And how we decide to write it. And I think as a whole, we're trying to get better at making sure our writing includes everyone. And the reason I like to be part of it is the fact that, okay, I'm shaping the people who are going to continue that movement. So that's the big thing. It's just, I say I don't like people, but let's face it, I like people enough that I spend my entire life thinking about people.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for bringing your amazing insights to Content and Capable. I really love having you on. And it feels like every time we chat, we find some more things that we have in common with each other, which is amazing.
Yeah, no, I think like teaching and journalism have a weird connection that people just don't even think about. Because they're sort of in a way the same thing, just depends on who your audience is.
Yeah, I think it's kind of communications based as well.
Yeah.
And it's like anyone who has to communicate for a living. Like, I'm doing some PR and advertising courses at the moment to fulfill my credit points at uni. And I don't know, it's interesting to see. It's very similar attitudes as well. Where can people find you on the internet, Taylor?
I sort of locked down my Instagram recently, mostly because I don't use it much. But you can find me on Twitter at historicalfemme, FEMME. I don't tweet that much, except to, complain about Dr. Oz on occasion and to talk about how Bo Burnham is my idol. So if you like that, you can occasionally find that on Twitter. And awesome. I'm around the Movie Night Crew Network doing things.
Yeah, doing things. You can also catch Taylor on the last 2 seasons of The Oldest Gods, where she and Charlie kind of explored Percy Jackson stuff. But yeah. Is there any media that you want to plug?
What have we been doing lately? So March Madness is happening here, so Joe's mostly been watching basketball, which has left us very little time to do anything fun. What have I read recently? We're done. Do I exist? That's a real question that I have now. You know what? I'm sure somebody on here has plugged Encanto already, but
I don't think anyone has, actually.
Oh, fuck. Then I will state I don't like the story of Encanto. As a child of an abuser, I have big problem with the ending of it. Mm-hmm. But the art and the music of Encanto, the detail to like the actual cultural aspects of it, like when they were choreographing the dances in Encanto, they actually brought in Colombian dancers to give their input and everything. Like, they did as much as possible to make it authentic, similar to what they did with Coco. So that, while I have my problems with the overarching story, man, that music slaps.
Oh yeah, it's good music. I don't listen to it on repeat, but it's definitely fun. Yeah.
Does Surface Pressure speak to you?
Fucking hell, it does.
I feel like anybody with multiple siblings is just like, yep.
It's not like my parents did anything wrong, I don't think.
Oh, no.
It's just that it's just like an implicit pressure that just exists, and I don't know. I could probably have a couple therapy sessions about that song.
Yeah, I feel like all of us just need to like have one of those circle meetings.
Just circle time, yeah.
Yeah, everybody, you get to pass something along. When you get it, you get to speak.
Yeah. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at sam.the.journalist and on Twitter at samobjournalist. Please make sure you check out the podcast socials on Instagram, content the letter N capable, and I believe it's the same on Twitter. I always forget this, and then I go to check.
I believe so.
Yeah, it is content of the letter N capable. But yeah, please go check out the podcast there. I'm going to plug Derry Girls. I fucking love Derry Girls. It's set in 1980s Northern Ireland. So for anyone who knows the history or might need a bit of a refresher, that's right where all the like the Good Friday stuff. I forget exactly what the terms are, but like the whole English is so hard. But
it truly is.
when Northern Ireland and Ireland were separating, and it was a huge mess, and so many military and militia
it still is a big
mess.
mess.
It is. Oh, Brexit's just made it worse.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. It's like uses that is just the background, and it's these regular schoolgirls just doing regular schoolgirl stuff, and like,
it's like
a little bit over the top and a little bit crazy, very Irish. Some hilarious Catholic references, which I love, and just like very funny. And then every now and then you just realize, oh yeah, like there is military around. And it's some great jokes. It's on Netflix here in Australia. I don't know where it is everywhere else, but it's a Channel 4 thing. So in the UK, Channel 4 does really great comedy. So
I'll check here. We'll see where it is in the US. It is also on Netflix here in the US.
Awesome. It's a fun one. I love it. But check that out. And thank you so much, Taylor, for jumping on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Sam. I always enjoy your face.
Thank you for listening to Content and Capable. You can follow the podcast socials at Content, the letter N, Capable on Instagram and Twitter. You can send a super boring email to us through contentandcapablepod@gmail.com. The art was done by Opia. You can follow them on opia_art on Instagram. Opia is spelled OPIA. Feel free to message them about making art for your project. Our music was written, recorded, and edited by Nora Strauss-Riggs. You can find Nora at Kane_I, that's I as in the body part, on Instagram and Twitter. Feel free to message her about making music for your project or editing your podcast. I'm proud to be a part of the Movie Night Crew Network, which features the Restricted section, a chapter-by-chapter Harry Potter pod with lots of spoilers all the time, the Movie Night Crew. Join some friends as they react to some terrible, some meh, and some really great movies. Of the Eldest Gods, a chapter-by-chapter Rick Riordan pod full of myths and legends. My Cabbages, an Avatar podcast that follows the true hero of Avatar The Last Airbender, the Cabbage Cart Guy. And Fandom's Gone Wrong, a show that discusses all things fandoms.
Hello, you awesome nerds out there. Yes, you. Have I got the podcast for you?
We've got pop culture, swearing, and all the immature jokes you could ask for.
We'll take you on a journey through TV shows, movies, books, and maybe a video game someday.
And we'll tell you how they all went wrong.
I'm Charlie.
And I'm Carrie.
And this is Fandom's Gone Wrong.
New episodes every other Wednesday wherever you get your podcasts.
Content and Capable is a podcast all about answering the question, how do you adult? Don't forget to rate and review it on your favourite podcatcher, and I will see you next Monday for another episode.
That movie sucked.
I kind of liked it.
Movie Night Crew Network.